It's one of my favorite.
Sorry,
Yeah, any
keep talking.
no worries.
That's one of my favorite places in the year.
Mm. Anything with sandy beaches.
What part of DR are you going?
So it's going to be near Puerto Plata. That
Oh,
side.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been to, what's the other place I'm trying to remember? Is it Punta Cana and what's the other one?
Yes.
And it's another one that I can't remember. Yeah, but I've been
They're all
been there twice.
very popular.
Yeah, been there twice. I had fun both times.
Well, it's going to be fun, relaxing. I think it's going to be in the 80s there. So I'm
Yeah,
excited.
it's even better in Africa.
I know. That's on my list. It's on my list.
Yeah, you definitely have to. Even if you don't, I'm gonna drag you to.
You ain't got to drag me. Just let me know the dates. I got a passport.
I like that.
Got bags, will travel. That's my motto.
Yeah, that's what's up. Charlie, what's going on with Charlie?
All right, guys. Charlie, he's about to get on. He said that he said he has a presentation and he said it might go over 30 minutes. I said, Charlie, this is a 30-minute call overall. So, sir.
No, that's fine. That's okay.
That's fine because I'm not gonna say that much. You're probably not gonna say that much. And if
Yep.
it's solid information, and then if it goes over 30 minutes, that's fine. Those who have
Yeah.
to leave, let them leave and we'll just continue.
Yeah. That's exactly what I said. All right,
But if
Doma, what
you
you
want
think?
the information and you think it's valuable and this is the lane you're trying to be in, you need to stay tuned.
I agree. Tell them, Chanel.
I told
And Doma, what do you think?
Well, it sounds like Chanel told me. So, yes, ma'am. Okay. Because I was
You
trying to
know,
log
you
I was
know,
trying to
I'm all
log off
about
and go drink wine, Chanel. Okay.
I'm all about no excuses. Seize the moment. Carpe diem.
Hey,
Absolutely.
Charlie.
How we doing?
Good, are you?
Great. How are you?
Pretty good.
Charlie, I need to come holler at you on the tax lien stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we just made a big purchase a couple weeks ago.
Oh, really? Where? What part?
DC?
Oh, okay. They don't have it in Virginia, right?
No, Virginia's what's called a tax property state. So if you're, 3 or 4 or 5, 3 years, 4 years from paying your property taxes, then they'll just auction off the entire property.
They don't play. Virginia don't play.
Nah, Virginia doesn't play.
Yeah.
Good evening, Charlie. All right, Charlie and Steve, I don't mean to cut you guys off, but we have 3 people waiting, so I don't want to keep them waiting long. Or we can hold it
What
off
time
for-
is it?
It's 7:02. So
Okay, then get started. We start on time. Let's go.
yes, we do. All right, so I am about to let them in, and then I will mute and let you all take the show. It's recording, so I'll send it after.
Okay.
Good.
Here goes.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Come on into the room. We have some exciting things for you guys tonight. We're not going to be before you long, but we got some really good information. We know it's the holidays and you guys are getting ready and making all your preparations with your family. So tonight we're going to talk about 3 things. We're going to talk about the 3 I's. We're going to talk about investing. We're going to talk about the interest rate. And we're also going to talk about, so exciting. We're going to talk about the interest rate, investing, and inventory. So being that those things are the primary things that you need to focus on when buying property or investment properties, tonight I have with me the co and founder of All Things Real Estate, Steve Adobo. And I also have, I know I butchered your name. I know. Please forgive me. And we also have Charlie Edmond. So I'm going to be your host for this evening. I am Chanel Harper with the luxury real estate group, Sampson Properties. So Steve, chime in here and tell us about what's going on in the market right now.
The market right now is just every time around this time of the year, things slow down. But the good part about it is the interest rate is starting to come down, so that's a good thing. People are going to be excited about buying again. Other than that, it's just I feel like right now I'm doing 3 projects, and hopefully by next year around this time, those projects will be ready to go, and market will be hot again.
And that's one of the things that I would like to caution people on. Everybody is thinking about, let me just sit on the sideline, let me just wait, let me not invest now, let me not buy now. But with the interest rates going down, you're going to have a bunch of buyers who jump right back in the market. And then we could potentially have the same market frenzy that we had before, where you're overpaying for properties and you're not getting your contracts accepted, or you're getting outbid with the cash investor. So my recommendation, if you are considering getting into real estate with the market looking like it is getting better, there is no better time right now. There's so much opportunity and so many more things that you can do. So Charlie, tell us about the interest rate, the investments, and the inventory.
Well, I tell you, if you guys, if you don't mind me, let me, I'm going to share my screen, okay?
Perfect.
Because I actually have a quick, well, nothing's quick with me, but I've got a quick presentation I want to show you guys about what's going to happen next year. Okay, tell me when you guys got it. You guys
It's
see my
loaded.
screen?
Yep,
Yeah.
it's here.
Okay, so what I'm going to talk about is all things real estate. We're going to close 2023 and invest in 2024. So what I'm going to tell you guys about is what the markets are going to do next year, what I think. I'll give you my predictions for next year, and I'll kind of tell you how to invest in a presidential election. Because one of the things that we're having, obviously, is the presidential election, and there's certain things that go on in presidential elections, and I'll cover that really quick. I think I only have about 25 minutes, you guys.
Yeah, it's going to be great information. If we go a little bit over, that's fine.
That's fine.
Okay. And I see you guys out there. If you guys have any questions, just stop me and let me know. For you guys that don't know me, this is basically a little bit of my resume, especially on the real estate side. One of the things that I want you guys to look at is I've got a charity called Clear Sky Sports Angels. I'm president of Catholics for Housing. So part of our journey is that we give back. I met Chanel back in 2009 and 10. Chanel, when we were doing REO World, we sold and listed over 500 houses between 2008, 9, and 10. You can look us up on the MLS. We're there. That's basically who I am. I got Clear Sky Group. These are our companies. Clear Sky Property, we fix and flip 2 to 3 houses a month. I got a rental portfolio. Clear Sky Financial is a hard money lender. It's our hard money lending component. Clear Sky Holdings, we primarily invest in tax lien certificates. And then we just recently launched Clear Sky Education. That's a copy of our book. Book came out on Friday. It's on Amazon. So for you guys, take a look at it. It's actually not a bad book. All right. So I'm going to cover today, and I'll try and do it as fast as I can. The 3 I's, inflation, interest rates, and inventory. We'll cover real estate investing, but I'm going to compare it to both the suburbs and the city, because those are 2 different animals. I'll touch a little bit on commercial investing. I don't know if we got a commercial crew out there. I'll also cover what happens in a presidential election. I'll cover my predictions. Every year around this time frame, I have a prediction going into 2024. We did it in 2023. We did it in 2022. So it's kind of nice. I keep those emails that I send out, And it's kind of nice to look at the end of the year and figure out what we've done, what we got right, what we got wrong. And I'll go over some of the things that we got wrong this year. There were a couple things. And then once I do that, I'll just cover investment strategies. Some of the things that you guys need to be looking out for in 2024, what I think you probably should be looking at and doing, and we'll go from there. All right. Okay.
Sounds good.
The 3 I's: inflation, interest rates, and inventory, right? What's going on? Well, the government seems to have inflation under control, right? We had crazy inflation at the beginning of the year. Prices going up, gas prices, obviously housing prices, but materials were going up, food costs were going up. Everything dealing with your household seemed to go up 6, 7, 8%. And then what they did is they increased interest rates to try and slow consumer spending, right? And so they kept raising, and eventually the interest rates have maxed out, we think. And so what happened was, by raising all these interest rates, it did slow consumer spending a little bit. And so inflation came down, and I think they got it under control. And so the other thing that we want to cover is inventory. Where is it going? Like Chanel said at the beginning of the meeting, especially in the suburbs, inventory is very, very low. And she thinks, and I think she's absolutely right, with interest rates coming down, which we think we're going to have a big buying frenzy, especially in the spring time frame. And so prices are going to go up. That's good and bad, right? So if you have a investment portfolio of rentals, especially in the suburbs, those prices are going to go up. So stay tuned for that. The next thing I want to cover is residential investing, right? Because I split this out into 2 different topics. I'm going to cover residential investing in the suburbs versus the city, and same thing with commercial investing, just because I don't know if this is a total investor-friendly crew or not. If you guys are residential or are you commercial? And so some of the things that you guys got to realize is that this is what's called a subdivision market, right? So one of the things that you need to do is you have to identify down to the granular level whether it's a bull market, a bear market, or a neutral market. And so there's a lot of spots in the city where prices are coming down. Okay. And so the reason behind that is there's a lot of crime in those areas. The condo market is overinflated right now. There's too much inventory. There's not enough buyers. So believe it or not, certain spots in the city, prices are coming down. And so you've got to be able to identify the markets that are going up, coming down, and staying neutral. And the way you do that is by taking comps within a subdivision. Let's say, for example, I was looking at a subdivision just yesterday in Hillcrest. I don't know if you guys know Hillcrest, but Hillcrest is predominantly a single family development in DC. And so this borrower called me up and said, yeah, well, these houses are going for $700,000. Well, when I went and did the analysis of Hillcrest, there was about 8 active listings, 6 or 7 sold listings, but no under contract or no pending listings. So what that tells me is currently because there is no under contract listings, that tells me that market is going down in price because there currently are no buyers in that particular subdivision within the city. So you've got to be very, very careful because those prices in Hillcrest, single family houses in Hillcrest, are coming down. The next thing that you have is what's called a bear market. In a lot of subdivisions in Northern Virginia, let's say certain townhouse complexes in Manassas, Prince William, even in Fairfax, you'll see a bunch of under contracts and you'll see a bunch of solds, but you're not seeing any active inventory. Well, that tells me there's no inventory within that subdivision. Prices are going up. Other subdivisions are neutral. You have a few actives, you have a couple under contracts and a couple are solds. So that tells me that's a nice normal market. Maybe not much of price appreciation, but that's a neutral market. But at least houses are selling, they're coming on, they're selling, and that's good too. So one of the things that you guys got to do as investors is you've got to be able to identify the type of marketplace within that subdivision. And I'm also talking about Maryland too, right? Maryland's the same exact way. You got to be able to identify. For us, you got to avoid areas in the city where crime is on the rise. There's a lot of pockets of the city, especially on the northeast, southeast side of the Anacostia, especially in Ward 7 and Ward 8. where crime is on the rise and prices are coming down, inventory starting to grow. So just be careful about the city. If you're going to invest in the city, I would invest close to a metro stop, provided you could get a good entry price. Any questions? I'm going kind of fast because I want to kind of get to the end here, so I can talk about my predictions. So let's talk about the commercial side a little bit, right? Cities will continue to re-identify themselves. What I mean by that is that there's a lot of different things going on, a lot of vacant office buildings. Cities are trying to convert some of these office buildings into, homeless shelters. A couple deals came my way, which, was a little too high for us to finance. There's a couple of office building to hotel conversions going on, especially close to the Capitol and the White House. We're seeing some of that start to play itself out. I don't know where it's going to land. Also in the suburbs, we're seeing some commercial developments where you work, live, and play. That's starting to become popular in the suburbs. So, it's a little bit different whether you're in the suburbs, whether you're in the city. You just got to understand what you want to do into those markets. The next thing I want to talk about is what happens during a presidential election. And so what normally happens is the incumbent party will drop interest rates to jumpstart the economy. You guys are hearing that. I'm hearing that in next year that the Fed is going to drop rates 6 times in the first 6 months. Well, I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I think they're going to drop them at least 4 times. But what that's going to do is that's going to spark a lot more buying from some of the guys that put buying on the shelf because interest rates went up. So we're going to see especially in the suburbs where there's no inventory. And like Chanel was saying earlier, we're going to see a lot of competition for very few houses. So prices are going to go up. What also happens during a presidential election, and you guys have really got to key in on this, is that the residential market will slow down between October and January. So really what you guys got to focus on is if you're a fix and flip investor, you're going to have to make your money in the first 6-8 months of this year. You're going to have to buy now, buy in the first couple months, get your fix and flips done and on the market, because once October to January happens, the residential market is going to come to a halt. It's done that the last 4 years. And the reason behind that is the market is nervous. Nobody is sure who's going to win the election. Nobody is sure as what policies are going to come to roost. So what happens is because of normal nervousness, people's buying habits are going to change. So I want you guys to understand that. Be very, very careful because that market is going to slow down. It's just a normal cyclical slowdown. Once January and February come around, and if these interest rates stay low, people are going to know the incumbent, what their policies are going to be. They're going to know their fiscal policies, and then consumer confidence is going to come back, and then the buying frenzy is going to start again, probably February of 2025. So you got to keep your eye on this year because it is a presidential election. Now, how much time? I'm good on time? Yeah, I'm good. All right.
Yes.
Okay, what are my predictions? And so a lot of times I tell people to go ahead and keep this chart and then see if I'm right or wrong come November, December of next year. Most of the times, my prediction's not bad. I'm fairly close. Of course, I'm not going to be spot on. But here's what I think is going to happen. It's going to be a very, very turbulent year. Okay, consolidation is going to continue. For realtors and loan officers, I'm seeing a lot of the bloodbath. A lot of realtors are leaving the business just because they're not getting enough deals done and they're having to take, another job. I'm talking to people all the time. You've got loan officers. A lot of them have come and gone just because of the higher interest rates. There's no refinance options. There's less home buying going on because there's less inventory. So a lot of these loan officers have actually left the business and they're getting jobs. You've got wholesalers. There's all these big wholesalers, right? Like Market Pro Homes, Express Home Buyers, Four Brothers, New Western, and a lot of big wholesalers that come to the marketplace. Well, frankly, the bottom line is there's not enough inventory for these wholesalers to put all these properties under contract. So what's going to end up happening is that these guys are going to have to lower their monthly advertising budget. And And because they're getting far and few inventory. So I think the wholesalers are going to start to consolidate. And so some of these big players aren't going to be able to afford to spend $90,000 a month. They're not going to be able to afford to hire the big staff. So you're going to see some consolidation within the wholesaler environment. Hard money lenders. We are already starting to see the hard money community start to consolidate. The big girl on the block, Washington Capital Partners, is running into financial problems. They've done a lot of big time deals that they're foreclosing on. They're even calling us to refinance some of their deals. So the hard money lenders are starting to consolidate. I think government is gonna drop rates next year, 4 times at least, and the drop is going to be anywhere from 1/4 of a point to 1/2 a point. I mean, it could be 6 times, it could be 8 times. It's just hard to say what's going to happen, but rates are definitely going to come down. We feel that at this particular point in time, interest rates have maxed out. So be on the lookout for that. Okay. Prices will continue to rise in the suburbs due to low inventory and lowering of rates. Again, just know how to identify a subdivision. Bull market, bear market, neutral. You've got to learn how to do that. Cities will continue to struggle due to workforce habits and rising crime. So stay tuned to that. We've seen a lot of fix and flip investors buying houses, and they haven't been able to get the prices that they've wanted to get. And so they've had to turn this fix and flip into a rental. So you've got to be prepared to go to plan B, especially if you're buying a house at a fix and flip and you can't get the price point that you want. We're having some of our investors go through that as we speak. We're having to refer them out to like DSCR lenders to refinance their properties because they're having to turn it into either a normal rental, a short-term rental, a VRBO, those kinds of things. And so they're actually having to refinance out of their properties just to pay us back. And that's going on. So just be very careful about that. We think, and we've thought this for a year, and I see crisis spelt wrong. I apologize, guys. We think there's a looming community bank crisis on the horizon because they have a lot of distressed loans in the Class B, Class C office building space. And so what's going on with the office building space is that the tenants aren't coming back to work. And so the Class B, Class C, the leases are having to be renegotiated. There's a lot of vacancies. And so the banks that are holding these loans, they've got to write these loans down, which means they got to be capitalized, right? And so they've got to raise capital, which means that's very challenging for these guys. And so what's going to end up happening is that if they don't get to a particular capital structure, then they could be overtaken by the FDIC. So what you guys might want to do is look up some of these community banks in our area, kind of identify their balance sheets, because where the opportunity is these community banks, in order to raise capital, they only do it 1 of 2 ways. The first way is they try to increase their deposits, right? That's hard. And the second way they do it is that they have to sell off assets. So they're either going to sell off performing assets and non-performing assets, or a combination of both. And so you as an investor, if you can tie in to, the chief financial officer or anybody in charge of those assets to get spreadsheets of their assets, maybe they're willing to sell them to you. And that could be a good opportunity for you guys as investors as well. Again, I covered this earlier on the presidential election cycle. In our estimate, we think there's going to be a 4-month halt between October 2024, January 2025. So just stay tuned. I would say make your money at the beginning of the year, especially the first 6, 7, 8 months. Take that money that you're making, maybe store it like squirrels do for a rainy day. So just start thinking about that. And the last thing I want to cover is, what should your investment strategies be in 2024? I've got 6 things here, or 5 things. Fix and flip investors, my suggestion is stay with the entry-level property purchases, because you'll be able to get that purchased, renovated, and on the market in 60 days. And hopefully 30, 40 days, you'll be able to get that under contract and get it sold. So if you can go with a 4-month round trip, and that should be your goal, then as long as you stay on the entry-level space, that's a good move. Now, entry-level space is defined depending upon where you are. If I'm in Fairfax County, entry-level is probably defined between the 500 and 600,000 or below space. If I'm in Prince William County, it's probably 450 and below. If I'm in Washington, D.C., Anything sub 650, 700 is considered entry level. PG County, Maryland, obviously it's a lot lower. It's probably $400,000 and lower. If you're in Montgomery County, you're probably $600,000 or lower, and that's what defines your entry space in your particular market. Buy and hold investors, be patient for your cash flow buys. Our rule of thumb is 100 times rents. We understand that, especially in the DMV, those kind of deals are hard to come by, but just be patient if you're a buy and hold investor. Just buy into cash flow, because it doesn't matter what the prices of the asset do, that cash flow will win the day. So just do that. Keep a watchful eye on the community banks, especially the FDIC takeovers. We know of 2 or 3 banks, community banks in our area, that are primed for a takeover. So just be on the alert for that. Commercial investors, avoid office buildings, especially the Class B, Class C. I would avoid smaller strip centers. Positives, avoid what you want to look at for commercial investors. You want to look for heavy industrial deals. You want to look for self-storage. You want to look for trailer parks, especially the lot rent model. And that's pretty much we think your investment strategy should be going into 2024. And if you can, purchase any of these kinds of things, I think it should be a very good year for you guys.
Thank you, Charlie. That was a lot of detailed and good information. So what I hear you're saying is you need to be strategic about where you invest, how you invest, know your numbers, and have a plan B. If you guys have any other questions, please feel free to put that in the chat. We are going to be here every third Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. and we're going to dissect, break this down, deep dive into so many topics that will help you become a seasoned investor. Even if you're a first-time investor, we're going to have all your information right here. If you have questions or you want to reach out and get in touch with any of us or have a one-on-one session, because each person's plan is different. Do you have anything to add to that, Steve? What about you, Charlie?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And that's why I tried to keep this at the, mile high view in the sky, because, everybody's plans are different. Everybody's strategies are different, right? I mean, whether you're on the residential side, whether you're on the commercial side, okay, that's one thing. And then on the residential side, are you a wholesaler? Are you in fix and flipper? Are you buy and hold, investor? You just have to, are you even a hard money lender? I mean, you just have to identify what you're doing, what your goals are. One of the things we always tell people is set your short-term goals, set your long-term goals. Once you set your short-term goals, and your short-term goals should drive what you do day to day, just figure out where you want to be in this space, because, the more turbulent the markets are, the more opportunity there is, especially for us, little tiny investors, and because we can pivot quicker than the bigger investors can pivot. And so just keep that in mind.
And put up a copy of your book again, Charlie, because they definitely should get a copy of that. That's going to give them a breakdown of how to invest, the roadmap to wealth. If you're trying to invest, become wealthy, know this business inside and out, please get the book, come back here every Thursday, because we're going to have experts with topics you don't want to miss.
Thank you very much, guys.
So yes, Charlie, thank you so much, Charlie. You're always, it's a lot of information, but we appreciate the great, golden nuggets that you always basically share with us. So, like Charlie said, as an investor, you always have to have a backup, plan B, because the market can tank at any time, and what will be your plan B? So that's very necessary. Like I said, I'm in 3 projects myself right now, and we're already discussing plan B, and probably just hold it and keep it as a rental for now. Or hopefully, if the market is great, then we're just gonna offload them. If not, then we're probably just gonna hold them and cash flow, basically collect monthly rents. And
yeah, and that's exactly
get
the
our
right way
money
to
out.
do it. Yeah, no, that's a smart way to do it. And so the other thing too is, for you guys out there, we kind of want to make this as interactive as possible. So do you guys have any questions for us? Because you've got all different kinds of investors out there. We do a lot of different things. So, if you have any questions, please ask them, because we like to make this as interactive as possible. And within the coming year, 2024, once a month, we'll have a speaker. But this is your guys' group. It's certainly not, it's our group too, kind of, but more importantly, it's your guys' group, because one of the things that Steve and Chanel are trying to do is they're trying to build up, the membership, obviously get more people involved, but unless you guys ask questions or tell us kind of what you want to see covered, we're not really sure. So
So we're going to be bringing you information, like I said, every third Thursday of the month. And we want to make sure, like Charlie's saying, that we cover topics that you're interested in, because we know that a lot of you are on different levels. But if you're serious about investing or buying real estate, this is where you're going to get the knowledge and information that you need. You're going to be getting it from people who've been in the business 20, 30 years. So we're doing this for you, because we've been fortunate enough to do well in this business, and we just want to give back and help other people do the same.
Well said, Chanel.
Any
Well
questions?
said.
I've got
Hi.
a question for Charlie. This is Tien.
Okay, go right ahead.
we can't
My
hear you.
video.
There you go. What is it? What's your question, Tien?
Hold on. Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Now we
yes.
can, yes.
Okay, I have to press a button in order for you to hear me. I was just wondering, Charlie, have you seen a lot of subject twos over this year just due to the interest rates? From people that you interact with?
I didn't hire her to say this question. I want everybody to know. Okay, Tia, if you go to, we just fix and flip the subject to property on Taconic Circle in Dumfries. So we bought it was a VA loan. It was a VA subject to loan. I could have assumed it, but the owner wanted us to close in a week or less. So we assumed a VA subject to. The interest rate was 3 1/8. We put the price, the money left on the subject to was $166,000 at 3 1/4. We bought it for $200,000, so we had to put about $34,000 up. The property had what I thought an ARV of $300,000. And so, but it needed only like $15,000 worth of work. It was in a development called Stockbridge. And so we put $15,000 of work into it. It just needed a clean up, carpet paint, dress the pig up, a couple of appliances. We sold on the MLS for $285. And so we made about, I don't know, $45,000. But the beautiful thing about that property is if you go to roadmap.wealth.com, we actually have an hour-long free course that we did on that fix and flip. And that fix and flip was a subject to deal. So the answer is I am starting to see quite a few more subject to properties. And in this particular case, we would have kept that subject to as a rental because the monthly payment was only $1,244 and I could have gotten $1,900 of rent in it. But the condo conversion was the condo fee was about $250 a month. But the reason why we fixed and flipped it was because I had to promise the owner that we would go ahead and fix and flip it so that he could get his subject to loan paid off and he could get what's called his VA entitlement paid off. But honestly, that would have been a great buy and hold for us. It could have been wholesaled because we were in there $200,000 out at 285. It could have easily been wholesale for 220. And so we could have wrapped up a quick 20 grand, put in our pocket. But like I said, I promised the guy we would go ahead and fix and flip it. And we actually created a course around that fix and flip. Yeah. Good question.
And that's another thing. It's not always about making $100,000, $50,000. Sometimes it's just about getting that good deal, putting some money in your pocket, $20,000, $30,000, using that to buy your next deal and develop your wealth that way. So it's not always, if it's not 80K, I don't want to do the deal.
Right.
And let me come in and explain what's subject to the people who are
Oh,
not familiar
right.
with subject to. It's as simple as basically you taking over the mortgage of a seller who is in some type of distress. And like Charlie said, it's very easy. You don't have to show any credentials or credit or bank information or W-2s or anything. So you could just basically take over somebody else's mortgage and make the payments. But it's just a few paperwork that needs to be put in place. Other than that, there's so many ways to make money in that. I just did one myself, maybe a month or a month and a half ago in Potomac Shores, Dumfries, and this was a property that the seller never lived in. So they basically got the property, and they were supposed to move from out of state to this property, but the employer said that they didn't have to come to the office, so that they were left with the property that was in Dumfries as well, but then they lived in North Carolina. So they ended up putting a tenant in, and this was a couple. So they not investors, they have no idea, investing in or even renting a property out to tenant. So they tried that option, and I guess it got to the point where the tenant wasn't paying, and they just didn't know what to do with it. So I called them and they said, "Hey, if you can do that, as long as we just want to walk away with $30,000. If you can do that, then we're willing to do that." The guy was easygoing. The wife, yeah, was on kind of on the fence a little bit because but at the same time they had a mortgage in North Carolina and they paid another mortgage here. So I guess it was just a lot of financial burden that they just they didn't want to continue. So it became something that I guess it was a win-win for them at the end of the day. So it's a good thing that Tiana brought that up because and I always tell people when it comes to real estate is a creativity problem. It's not a money problem. As long as you be able to be creative and make it work between you and the seller, then it's just when it's come to creative financing, there's the sky's the limit. There's no one specific way to do it, and sometimes that's the best way for the seller. That's the only option for the seller, and it's the best way for the seller to be able to get out of whatever situation that the seller is in. So yeah. And I did another flip, the same in Woodbridge, Dale City, the same situation where it was a school teacher who just bought the property and didn't want to fix it and just subject to me. But like Charlie said, he wanted me to cash him out at some point. He didn't want to be on a loan for too long. So I told him, hey, I'll fix it and flip it so I can cash you. I mean, I can I cash you out. And that's what I did basically. So it's very, when it comes to creative finance, and I'm seeing that a lot, and it's been happening across America. It's not only houses, but anything. Cars, I've seen people do it in cars and all these other things, boats. So yeah, that was a good question, Tim.
Yeah.
And
Anybody?
Thank you.
thank you for that question. And that's the beauty. A deal can be whatever the homeowner and the investor decide they want to make the deal. So anything is possible, just like Steve said. So we are coming to an end, but I want to go back to Charlie, give you 30 seconds for some last comments, then go back to Steve, then I will close this out. And if you guys have any last questions, put them in the chat quickly. We'll try to get to them.
Yeah, so I'll be brief. I only want to touch on two topics, especially now that we're ending the year and beginning a new year. Number one, set goals, short-term, long-term, but set goals that you can achieve and attain, especially your short-term goals. Make sure that your daily plan is part of your short-term goals. But you gotta persevere. You gotta be relentless. This is not an easy business. And then the second thing I want to touch on is, building your all-star team. You got to continue to add on to your team people that you want to work with, people that are valuable to helping you succeed in real estate. And one of the things that we're doing is I'm building a totally new team right now as we speak. We've undertaking that I didn't think we would ever get into, especially with the book out there. I mean, we're starting like a quasi media company. We've started Clear Sky Education. We're going to do courses, but what the team that I'm building is a team that we've never had to build before. And I'm talking 20 years of real estate investing. I'm having to learn how to get into the social media world, which, we were never in the social media world. Everything I was doing was word of mouth. I've got content creators that we've had to hire. I've got my own son creating my front end for another website. We're going to have to figure out how to sell stuff to the, to the general public. And so we're building our team inherent to us on top of the team that we've already built. So for example, if you're a fix and flip investor, figure out who your contractor team is, figure out who your title companies are, figure out who your bird dog realtors are, figure out who your wholesalers are, right? You got to build your own team, all depending upon what type of real estate investment strategy you're going through. So those are the two things that I got to close. Set your goals and build your team.
What do you have, Steve? Thank you.
Like Charlie said, hey, the team, and that's why we have this community here. So, we try to build that and have, contractors, have, title companies, have all that in here. So if you want to build a team, this is the right place to be. And like Charlie said, you need a team and you got to set goals. Real estate is hard, but it's easy at the same time. As long as you're willing to learn and put in the work, it's not hard. And that's all I can say. So whoever is interested in investing in real estate, all you got to do is just grind. And as long as you're ready to grind, then be ready to, hold your hand throughout the whole process and make it as easy as possible for you.
And with that being said, nothing good comes easy. We thank you all for tuning in with us tonight. We'll be back the third Thursday in January, so don't miss it. And to my distinguished guest and panel, thank you for your knowledge and information. Put any topics in the chat that you guys might want us to talk about later. I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year.
Thank you,
We'll see you
guys.
next
We'll see you
time.
later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.